I want to bring in Brit Hume. He's a Fox News senior political analyst. So good to have you here. Saw you last night on Special Report, and we're great. It's great to have you here. It feels like a pretty historic and weighty day, and at the same time, Brit, it feels like it's still, we're waiting for some sort of clarification as to what the charges are, what the jury instructions are, and it appears, Brit, that the jury is asking the judge for the same thing.
I agree, Dana. The one thing about this exotic case and the exotic theories on which it is based is that they're hard to understand. And, you know, when we get to the point where the judge is giving the jurors a sort of a menu of choices as to which underlying crime they may find present here, you can understand why, as you pointed out, the jurors seem confused enough to be asking for further instructions on this. And, you know, if that's true, these jurors, one can only imagine how difficult it is for people out across the country wondering why the former president of the United States is being prosecuted in a case that they can barely, if at all, understand.
Yeah. So we are 3 minutes away from the commencement of day 2, Brit, and we're going to get the emails flying in here shortly, and when we get that information, I'll pass it to our viewers. Maria's back in the courtroom today, so too is Jonathan Turley, so their insights will be of great value to us. Meanwhile, the sitting president, Joe Biden, went back to Rehoboth, Delaware today, apparently. And this was after being in Philadelphia yesterday, and this one comment's getting a lot of play. He was there to speak to a largely African-American audience in the city of Philadelphia and said this.
Let me ask you, what do you think he would have done on January 6th if black Americans had stormed it? Think about this. What do you think would have happened if black Americans had stormed the Capitol? I don't think he'd be talking about pardons. It's the same guy who wanted to tear gas you as you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder.
So I don't know who the folks are behind him, but from what I read, I think there were 37 or 40 school children who were present for that. Just with context, Brett, in Philadelphia around that time, they had an iconic statue of a former mayor defaced. They had demonstrators on top of the subway entrance. They had at least a dozen storefronts that were looted or defaced. They had the Philadelphia Police Department vehicles set on fire in that area, a state police cruiser as well from Pennsylvania. You had a Starbucks that was seen engulfed in flames. Look, this is why you have police, to respond to incidents like this. And I just don't know how you take that in from yesterday.
Well, not to mention the violence that was involved in the protests all across the country. And the famous scenes of correspondents for a certain organization standing in front of a fiery backdrop talking about how mostly peaceful these protests were. They were in part peaceful, but they were in part quite violent. And I don't think many Americans hearing that would think it was such a terrible idea with the violence that was going on to use tear gas to disperse the crowds. Biden is often doing that. You know, he told black people that, Romney or somebody wanted to put them all back in chains, and this is the level of exaggeration to which he is often subject. And I must say, I'm not sure how effective that pitch would be to an audience out there of black voters who have begun to drift away from Trump. Now, make no mistake about this, Bill and Dana. Trump isn't going to win the black vote. But if he wins enough of it to deny Biden the overwhelming majority he needs in the black community to win the election, it will real seriously dent Biden's chances. So, Biden has work to do in the black community. I'm not sure that what he was saying yesterday, that sort of thing, is going to help him do it very much.
Got it, Britt.
Yeah, Britt, I know that they want us to go. Can I get one comment from you? Mark Halpern in Wide World of News this morning, it's his newsletter, was reporting from people that he had talked to in the past little while who have come to him saying that they are concerned about the well-being of Joe Biden, and that what people are seeing with their own eyes is a concern to them, and sort of raising the alarm here. Are you hearing anything similar, or could you comment on that, as we're just about a month away, less than a month away from the debate?
Everywhere I go, I talk to people, and I don't hear anybody saying that Joe Biden is fit to be president again. Everybody is dismayed at his deterioration, his obvious senility, which is deepening. And I don't think, I think that is a situation that is not going to get better. And the issue of his age and condition is, I think, irreversible.
That reporting was interesting this morning, indeed. Thank you, Brit Hume. Great to have you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.